Good news and bad news. But good news. Troy increased his delivery estimate for Tesla for Q4 up from 415,000 to now 420,000. So that's the good. The bad is he still expects a price cut. So this estimate is assuming that there is going to be a price cut that Tesla will do. Without the price cut, his estimate is smaller than this. So that's the bad news. But I don't think deliveries actually matter for Tesla long term for now. They will later, but right now, I don't think they do yet. We want to look at production. And production, Troy estimates, is going to grow this year at 50% year over year, which is exactly what Tesla is targeting. And we want to pay attention to what Troy says because his track record is very good. Show me who has a much better track record. Now, of course, for Q3, everyone got that one wrong. So let's go through all of the updates from Troy as well as the rumors, all of the rumors that we have heard about potential price cuts in China for Tesla vehicles. First of all, does Troy take into account that the incentive that is available in China, that it will be gone this year, meaning there's going to be a rush of orders probably in December? Well, Troy does follow all of the details very closely, is what he said. I'm sure he takes that into account very closely. There is a lot of confusion with the EV purchase tax exemption, which they have extended, which is great, but that's nothing new. But that EV incentive is not going to be extended. That is ending. So we can hope that maybe somehow a lot more people rush to use that incentive last minute. That would be great, but that incentive is not very big. One common question that everyone asks is, can't we just export in December? Well, they sort of could, but then all of these cars will be delivered in January, which to me as a long-term investor, I am perfectly fine with that. Actually, that might be better because we will pay less for all of the last minute delivery fees that Tesla would usually get charged extra because Tesla delivers so many vehicles now. It has gotten so big. It's not just a few cars anymore. Those ships are giant. But of course, if they choose to export a lot of these cars and then they miss the estimates from Wall Street, then we know what that does to the stock price. It presents a buying opportunity because the stock drops. So that's why we want to pay attention to deliveries, because that's what Wall Street looks at. If you'd like to get into the details, you can pause the video now. But basically, Troy is saying that Tesla does not have enough orders currently in China, and that's why he thinks there would be a price cut. Specifically, he explains why the inventory buildup is not for exports. You can read that here if you like to go into more detail. And then he explains how he checks the data for new car registrations in China. And this to him shows that there are not enough orders in China currently at this moment. But that could also change, perhaps. And he would expect a price cut before the end of November. And these are Troy's production estimates. His production estimates are really good. When he misses, he doesn't miss by much. And remember that miss on deliveries in Q3 that made the stock tank completely? Well, the inventory increased by a large number. And now check this out. When you add in inventory from Q3, you are ending Q4 with 14% of all inventory plus production in transit. In Q3, it was only 6%, even though Q3 production was heavily weighted toward end of quarter. What accounts for the difference? Simply, not enough orders in China, says Troy. And what does Troy expect Tesla to do with all of this large inventory? he expects three things. Number one, either reducing production. We know with Tesla, that's not happening. Tesla will sell every single car it makes for the foreseeable future, and that is quite far ahead. Second is to drop prices. Tesla has done that many times before. Or number three, export all excess in December. Europe still has a lot of orders in the backlog. They could export all of those vehicles to Europe. It would be no problem at all. However, we definitely know, I really don't think those cars would go to US because the taxes are horrendous. It's a 27.5% import duty from China when you import vehicles from China to US, but it's only 10% if you send them to Europe. So Europe makes sense, but sending these cars to US, I don't think so. That is on top of the insane political disaster that you would have to go through. Importing cars from China to US? Yeah, well, Elon is already picking fights with one side of a political party. Now you would be picking fights with both of them at the same time. I don't think that's happening. One thing to keep in mind is that Troy does adjust his estimates as there is more information, and that can change. And let's take a look how that changed throughout time. Maybe there is hope. Maybe Tesla can still beat all of the expectations from Wall Street. We can see that the estimate changed quite a bit. This is when Tesla cut prices. And there is perhaps hope, but this latest estimate assumes that Tesla will cut prices again. So if they do not cut prices, then the estimate is actually lower. And this is an estimate for Q3. You can see that in the beginning, it started much more accurate when the analyst consensus. Then there was a disconnect for a little while, and then they both came pretty close. But don't get your hopes up too much, because look at Q2 and Troy was basically right the whole time, as analysts were all completely wrong. So I wouldn't dismiss Troy, definitely not at all, but at the same time, these estimates are exactly that. They are estimates. I saw some people getting excited by this, that already the highest total for the first 2 months of any prior quarter, when we look at Tesla's sales here, basically. And if this projection is true, then this would be more than 50% higher than last year during the same period. Then Troy was asked about competition, specifically BYD, and how that compares. And Troy says, yes, BYD Seal is a Model 3 competitor, and it's similar in many ways. The range numbers are almost the same, and the 2 has standard range, long range, and performance versions. Also has a nice interior and a second screen behind the wheel. I'll probably make a separate video about that. We won't go into detail, but this is something that we need to keep an eye on. Now, Gary thinks if Tesla cuts prices again, that Tesla would reach the goals that Tesla set, which is on just under 50%, which would beat Wall Street expectations by a large number. But Wall Street, I don't think, is anticipating another price cut. And Gary is specifically saying that he highly doubts that Tesla will cut prices in China, which is very different from what Troy is saying. And then we have this report. Sawyer is reporting that Tesla China has denied local reports claiming that orders for its vehicles have been lower than expected despite last month's price cuts. Let's dig into that. So the rumor is that Tesla did not get the orders that it wanted, and Tesla China denied this. However, and this is where, they did not provide how many orders it has received since its recent round of price cuts. And anytime when a company is not disclosing the information that could easily disprove whatever you're trying to ask the company, unless it's a very sensitive piece of information, then I am a little bit skeptical. Usually, that's my first instinct, basically. However, check this out. Following Tesla's price reductions last month, local electric vehicle makers such as NIO, XPeng, and others saw a dip in their respective deliveries. That is expected. The bigger recession, the worse it's going to be for all of our competitors. Tesla is going to be fine because the margins are so big. However, we have to think about this. I did this quick Google search. Tesla China says rumor of Model Y price cut is false. This was September 30th, and then right after that, they went ahead and cut the prices anyway. So how much credibility would I give to what we are hearing from Tesla China team specifically in terms of there is not going to be a price cut? About this much. 0. Maybe a little bit above 0. Maybe just a little bit. But looking at this, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't get my hopes up. That is not to say that there cannot be no price cut. I'm just saying Tesla China specifically has no credibility because they said this on September 30th and then very quickly right after that they cut the prices. So specifically Tesla China. And guess what? Looking at this report right here, this is the same website that is reporting or saying that there is supposedly going to be another price cut. And Tesla China denied this website's claim that there is going to be another one, but they were right before, so you can't just dismiss it immediately. This is translated from Chinese, but the language that they are using is very strong. With tens of thousands of cars in stock, Tesla will cut prices. Tiger Sniff learned from an exclusive channel after 2 sales promotions, the price cut and the insurance promotion. Tesla's order increase is still lower than expected, and it will launch a new price reduction method before the end of the year to boost sales. Very soon, however, we will find out if Tesla in Q4 will knock the Q out of Tesla Q. Of course, there are still so many demand levers that Tesla can pull. Tesla is not advertising yet. And look, other auto companies, they advertise so much, Tesla spends nothing. Eventually, everyone is going to switch to EVs. Especially when we look at the history, we see then there is a product that everyone wants, the costs over time come down, just like they did for rubber. And of course, the most important part for EVs would be the battery. And remember, Tesla is going to be subsidized and a ridiculous amount to produce the batteries in the US. So what's the conclusion? It would appear if China's economy stays strong and there's no shutdowns that really tank the consumer, then maybe possibly no price cuts, but looks like Troy usually is right. So it looks like that price cut is, after all, likely still for now. But we have seen Tesla pull off the impossible many times, so we'll see what happens. These are 48 reasons why I only own Tesla stock in my stock portfolio. My name is Matt Posius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you right here. Thank you so much for watching.